Hey guys, so we are back and we are back to the roadmap to becoming a DevOps me. And today I want to talk to you guys about an acronym that you will see a lot when you're on your path with DevOps. So if you have even touched DevOps, you looked at anything, you've seen something called CI/CD. And today we're going to get into it. By the end of this video, you're not going to only understand what a CI/CD pipeline is, but you're also going to understand how it powers all the modern applications that we use every single day. So let's just start off with what exactly is CI/CD? What does it stand for? So the CI stands for continuous integration, and then the CD stands for continuous deployment, or sometimes you'll see continuous delivery. It's used interchangeably. So there's a new feature to an application. A developer writes some code, it's pushed up, and all of a sudden we have that new feature on the app that we're using. Something magic happens within that whole process, from the developer pushing up the code to us now being able to interact with a new update. And that whole process in the background is CI/CD. So continuous integration is all about making sure that the code that the developers are writing is integrated regularly. So it's always being pushed up to GitHub. So it's not just about pushing code. CI systems, they run tests, it checks code, and it actually builds the application so that it can catch any bugs before it breaks anything. Continuous integration is all about merging code on a regular. We can have automated builds, we can have tests so that we can find any defects within that code early on. So we're not just waiting till the end and then we're like, oh, this bug was introduced like 5 weeks ago. But every single time a developer pushes up, then through, let's say, use GitHub as our example, GitHub has GitHub Actions. So our workflow is done where it's built, it's tested, there's different things that are done. And so we can actually see, oh no, this new code that was introduced brought in this bug. So we're not waiting for once the application is being released to find out that there was a bug that was introduced to it. Okay, so now we've done the continuous integration and now continuous delivery. Now our code has been tested, it's been built, and now we're ready to deploy it, usually in a staging environment. Continuous delivery is the next step. So once the code's been tested, it's been built, now we're gonna automatically deploy it to some form of staging or production environment. Okay, so overall, CI/CD, the pipeline. You're continuously pushing up your code up into some central repo like GitHub, and then you're continuously introducing whatever new updates you're working on. It's then being built, it's being tested, it's making sure that there's no new defects that are being introduced. And once all of that workflow is being approved, then it goes and takes whatever is being built and it automatically pushes it up to some form of a staging environment, which is like a copy of your production environment, to make sure now this new part of the feature that I added to my application works in this environment, so that when I'm mimicking my production, so somebody who's going to be using it in real life, I'm going to mimic that same production environment, making sure it actually is going to work when we actually deploy it for our end users. Some people also just have it so that it goes straight to being pushed and deployed into production environment. So it's just based off of how your pipeline is being built out. I hope that helped you understand what CI/CD stands for and what it actually means. But the question then becomes, why do we actually even use it? Like, what is the point of it? So imagine if every single time that somebody made a change to the application, they had to manually do everything we just discussed. Testing it, zipping it up, putting it onto the server, logging then into the server, actually making sure it runs on it, like manually making it run on the server. Like, that whole process would be painful, and there's so much room for errors. Anything that's done manually always introduces room for human errors. CI/CD makes all of that a lot more safer. It makes sure that you're able to ship new code faster, safer, and more secure. And you're more confident in the code that you're shipping. You're more confident in the application you're shipping. You know that nothing new was introduced, no new bugs. It was built and it was tested. You know that no new errors are introduced, no new defects are introduced, because you not only did you build it, you tested it, and you actually put it on a production server or put it on a staging environment that mimics the same exact thing that your end user is going to be going through. So you know at least a good percent that there's nothing new that you introduced to that application. So you're able to deliver it way more confidently. What exactly happens inside of a pipeline? So let's discuss. Your code is built, it's compiled, and then it's tested. It's unit test, whatever type of tests that are needed to make sure that nothing new that no new bugs were introduced. And then after it goes through that stage, it's then packaged. Whether or not you decide to package as like a RPM or you end up building a Docker image based off of that, it's packaged in whatever is your desire, right? Here's a real world example. Let's say I push some code to my GitHub repo. That triggers GitHub's action workflow. That workflow installs dependencies, it runs tests, and if everything passes, it builds a Docker image. And it then pushes that image to AWS ECR. That same workflow can then deploy that image to an EKS cluster or a Kubernetes environment somewhere else. This whole pipeline can be powered by tools such as GitHub Actions, Jenkins, AWS Code Pipeline, and then all of these are usually written in files called YAML files. So you can write, Jenkins is written in Groovy, a different file, but like all of these files usually are written in some form of YAML file. And these power the pipelines that we're talking about. And I do all of that with just doing a git push. So that's the only thing that triggers it. It's really cool how one thing can automate that whole process, and then I can actually just log into an application. Like that's it, I just go on and log into my app. So why does this even matter for a DevOps engineer, or honestly like any type of engineer? I think it's really important to know how software is shipped, how software is moved from one place to another, how like before a tester can even get to testing, like a tester in production environment, how they even are able to get to testing, what they have to wait on. What do you need to know? Like, why is there an error? Was there a problem? Where was the code, like the bug introduced? That whole process is very important to understand. And it's just a really good skill set to have, right? So you are introduced to so many different services when you're looking at a pipeline, because like I think I've probably mentioned at least 5 just within explaining from GitHub how something can get all the way to Kubernetes, like from there to there, what you're being introduced to. So all of that is really important for a DevOps engineer, for a backend engineer, for a tester, for honestly, a lot of people just who interact with code. It's important to understand the pipeline of how the application and your updates get to where they need to be. Like how that whole pipeline works. Like what is the highway to get to where I'm going? Like what is the route to get there? How am I going to get there? And what happens on the way there? Because was something introduced on the way there? Did something happen? Is something broken? That's the reason why my app is not coming up. Is it me, like as a developer, who introduced that? Or is the app just not coming up because there's something in the pipeline that's broken? That if you understand the pipeline, you can rule out certain things, right? So all of that is just important to know. Knowing how software gets shipped is important, but even just knowing how to write out these pipelines, how to actually build them out, it puts you ahead of the curve. Like it makes you really profitable and it makes you important, because you can build your application, but where is it going? How am I going to put any changes to it? You save developers so much time instead of them having to manually like get their app running every single time that they want to make a change to it. Like saving them time, it just helps everybody. So that was a lot, but I'm hoping right now you understand what CI/CD pipeline is and you know how it works and you understand that. So in a future video, I will actually go through and break down how to actually build one from scratch and how to do that with AWS Code Pipeline. So make sure you like so that you're ready for that video when we're actually going to build out a pipeline from scratch. If this video was helpful, make sure you subscribe to my channel as we're going to continue to break down a lot of these tech, DevOps, and engineering concepts. Thank you.